Welcome to the deep dive. Sometimes you feel like you're doing everything right with your money, but the results, they just aren't showing up.
Mm-hmm. It's a common frustration.
Yeah, so today we're diving into a really interesting idea from Harv Eker's Secrets of the Millionaire Mind. It's this concept of your financial blueprint.
Right, that subconscious programming. Eker basically argues it's a much bigger driver of your financial life than, say, just what you know or how hard you work.
Exactly. So think of this as like your shortcut to understanding why things might be the way they are for you financially.
And maybe how to shift things. We've pulled out the core ideas from Eker's book, try and give you those big takeaways without, getting bogged down.
Yeah, we want those aha moments. And it's all based directly on what Eker wrote. Our mission here is really to get under the skin of these factors that, according to him, shape your financial reality.
And look, wherever you are with your financial knowledge, we're keeping this practical, accessible, things you might actually use.
Okay, let's jump right in then. This central idea, the power of the subconscious financial blueprint. Eker's big claim is, if this internal program isn't set for success, well, all the courses and effort might not matter much.
It's like having outdated software on a brand new computer. The hardware's there, but the operating system limits it.
That's a great way to put it. Or like a house blueprint, right? It's the underlying plan.
Precisely. Your money blueprint is that preset program for how you deal with money, often totally unconscious.
And this blueprint then drives what he calls the process of manifestation. Can you walk us through that?
Sure, it's a chain. Thoughts lead to feelings. Feelings drive actions, and actions produce results. TFAR.
TFAR.
Okay, so if you want different results, you can't just change your actions, not sustainably anyway. You have to go back to the start.
Back to the thoughts, which come from the blueprint.
Exactly. You have to understand and maybe rewire those thoughts.
So where does this blueprint even come from? Childhood.
Largely, yes. Eker highlights three main things. Verbal programming, what you heard about money. Okay.
Modeling what you saw your parents or caregivers do with money.
Makes sense.
And specific incidents, significant emotional experiences you had around money growing up. Those really stick.
He tells that story about Stephen, doesn't he? Whose mom always said, rich people are greedy.
Yeah, powerful example. Yeah. Consciously, Stephen wanted wealth. Logically,
but subconsciously,
that belief, rich people are greedy, acted like an invisible brake. He couldn't accumulate wealth until he actually dug that up and addressed it.
It really shows how emotion often trumps logic with this stuff, huh?
Oh, absolutely. That deep-seated emotional conditioning, it usually wins if it conflicts with just, wanting something logically.
So how do you start tackling that? Let's take verbal programming, the things you heard. What are the steps?
Eker lays out 4 steps. First is awareness. Literally just writing down everything you remember hearing about money, rich people, poor people, the works.
Just get it all out. Okay.
Then, understanding. Reflect on how those messages might have actually impacted your financial life so far. See the connection, see the patterns, right?
Third, disassociation. This is key. Realizing those beliefs aren't you. They aren't necessarily true. They were just passed down. It creates space.
Space to choose something different, which leads to the last step.
Reconditioning, or declaration as he sometimes calls it. Consciously choosing and affirming new beliefs that actually support you. Like literally saying, what I heard about money isn't necessarily true. I choose new thoughts that support my success.
You're actively installing new software.
You got it.
What about modeling? Seeing what our parents did.
Yeah, that's huge too. We often just unconsciously replicate their financial habits, good or bad.
Or we react against them, right? Like do the complete opposite out of rebellion.
Exactly. But Eker warns that even if rebellion makes you rich, if it's driven by anger or proving someone wrong, that wealth often doesn't bring happiness.
Because the root motivation is negative.
Precisely. That negativity kind of taints the results. He suggests finding positive reasons for wealth, purpose, contribution, joy.
Okay, this leads nicely into another core idea. The inner and outer games of wealth. What's that about?
Think of a carpenter. The outer game is the tools, hammers, saws, plans. In finance, that's like knowledge, strategies, market analysis.
The how-to stuff.
Right, but the inner game. That's the carpenter themselves, their skill, their mindset, their confidence.
So the person wielding the tools.
Exactly. Eker argues the inner game is primary. You need both, but the inner game, your mindset, is critical.
Like he's saying, it's not enough to be in the right place at the right time.
You have to be the right person in the right place at the right time. It's about your internal readiness, your mindset.
He uses Donald Trump as an example, right? Losing a fortune, but making it back.
Yeah, the idea being his millionaire mind or maybe billionaire mind wasn't lost. The internal thermostat was still set high.
So someone with that mindset would feel like fundamentally uncomfortable or broke, even with just $1 million.
That's the concept. Their internal programming just drives them towards massive wealth creation, almost automatically, regardless of temporary setbacks.
This connects to another analogy. He uses the roots and the fruits.
Yes, love this one. The fruits are your results. The money in the bank, your assets. Visible stuff.
Okay.
But the roots, they're invisible. They're your thoughts, your beliefs, your blueprint, your inner world.
And you can't change the fruits without changing the root.
Exactly. You can prune and spray the leaves all you want, but if the roots are unhealthy, the fruits will eventually reflect that.
It's like fixing a typo on a printout by erasing the paper.
Instead of correcting the file on the computer,
Yeah.
you got to fix the source.
He links this to 4 realms of existence.
Yeah.
Physical, mental, emotional,
Mm,
and spiritual.
right. He sees the physical world, our results, as basically a printout of the other 3.
Mm-hmm.
Mental thoughts, emotional feelings, and spiritual.
And spiritual here isn't necessarily religious, right?
Yeah.
It's more about,
More about your core essence, your values, your purpose, your connection to maybe a bigger picture, those deep inner drivers,
okay, so the physical is just a reflection.
which reinforces the core idea. Money as a result, wealth, health, weight, they're all results, symptoms.
So if you lack money, that's a symptom, not the root cause.
Exactly. The root cause lies in the non-physical realms, thoughts, feelings, beliefs, your blueprint. It's all cause and effect.
This is a great framework. It leads us into what he calls wealth files, these specific mindset differences.
Yeah, like files in a cabinet labeled how rich people think versus how poor people think. He contrasts them directly.
Okay, let's dive into some key ones. Wealth file, #1. Rich people believe I create my life. Poor people believe life happens to me.
Huge difference. It's about responsibility versus victimhood.
Taking the wheel versus being a passenger.
Precisely. Eker talks about victimitis, blaming, justifying, complaining.
The blame game. Blaming the economy, the government, your boss.
Justifying why things aren't working, making excuses, and just general complaining. He argues these keep you stuck and powerless.
Instead of focusing on what you can control.
Exactly. Creating your life.
Okay, wealth file, #2. Rich people play the money game to win. Poor people play to not lose.
Big difference in intention there.
Right.
One is focused on offense, growth, abundance.
Aiming high.
The other is focused on defense, survival, security, just trying not to fall behind.
Like Eker says, if you shoot for the stars, you'll at least hit the moon.
Right. But if your aim is just survival, just paying the bills, you're aiming much lower. There's a huge gap between just being comfortable and being truly wealthy.
Wealth file, #3.
Yeah.
Rich people are committed to being rich. Poor people want to be rich. That sounds subtle, but it's not, is it?
Not at all. There's a massive difference between a wish and a full-on commitment.
Like, yeah, it'd be nice, versus I will do whatever it takes. Legally, morally, ethically, of course.
Exactly. Eker actually outlines 3 levels. Wanting is just wishing. Choosing is a decision. But committing, that's dedicating yourself fully. No excuses. Warrior energy.
You're all in. Okay, wealth file, #4. Rich people think big. Poor people think small.
This isn't just about money, is it? It's about impact.
Right. It's about the scale you want to play on. Are you just focused on your own needs, or are you thinking about how you can serve or contribute to more people?
Yeah, the world doesn't need more people playing small, he says. Thinking big often leads to bigger opportunities, bigger rewards, and potentially more fulfillment.
Playing a bigger game. Got it. Wealth file, #5. Rich people focus on opportunities. Poor people focus on obstacles.
Classic glass, half full, half empty.
Sort of, yeah.
Yeah.
Rich mindset scans for potential gains, growth, possibilities.
While the poor mindset immediately sees the risks, the problems, why something won't work, fear of failure is a big driver there.
He talks about ready, fire, aim here, doesn't he?
Yes. Instead of endless analysis paralysis, ready, aim, 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 just get started. Take action, learn, adjust as you go.
Like his example of wanting to get into the fitness business.
Yeah, instead of waiting forever, he just got a job as a trainer, got in the corridor, as he puts it, learn from the inside.
Okay, wealth file, #6. Rich people admire other rich and successful people. Poor people resent them. Ooh, this one can sting.
It really can. But his logic is simple. How can you become something you resent?
If you think rich people are inherently bad or greedy, your subconscious won't let you become one of them.
Exactly. You're creating an internal conflict. He He talks about his own shift, realizing many wealthy people he met were actually generous and nice, challenging his own
Like
biases.
that surgeon doing free operations.
Right. It broke his stereotype.
Wealth file, #7. Rich people associate with positive, successful people. Poor people associate with negative or unsuccessful people.
Energy vampires
Yeah.
versus energy boosters.
Kind of. It's about modeling and influence. Who you hang around affects your thinking, your attitude, your opportunities.
That's saying you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. Eker stresses consciously choosing your associations.
If you want to fly with the eagles, don't swim with the ducks.
Love that one. It's blunt, but the point is clear. Surround yourself with people who lift you up and model the success you want.
Wealth file, #8. Rich people are willing to promote themselves and their value. Poor people think negatively about selling and promotion.
Yeah, that selling is sleazy mindset.
Right. But Eker argues that if you believe in your value, promoting it is just sharing something good. Leaders have to be promoters.
If you have something that can genuinely help people, isn't it almost a disservice not to let them know about it? Promotion is about sharing value.
Good point. Okay, wealth file, #9. Rich people are bigger than their problems. Poor people are smaller than their problems.
So it's not about having no problems.
No, everyone has problems. The difference is capacity. Successful people grow themselves so they can handle bigger challenges.
The size of the person matters more than the size of the problem.
Exactly. He even suggests that funny visualization. The mini-me.
Huh, yeah. When facing a big problem, picture a tiny version of yourself tackling it. It puts things in perspective, reminds you that you can grow bigger than the challenge.
Okay, wealth file, #10. Rich people are excellent receivers. Poor people are poor receivers. This touches on worthiness issues, right?
Often, yeah. Feeling like you don't deserve good things, money, compliments, help.
So you block it.
Unconsciously, yes. Eker uses the analogy of rain falling. Abundance is like the rain, always available. But if your receiving muscle is weak or if you feel unworthy, your puddle stays small.
You have to be open to actually letting the good stuff in. Money, opportunities, even just a compliment.
Exactly. It's a crucial part of the flow.
Wealth file, #11. Rich people choose to get paid based on results. Poor people choose to get paid based on time.
The classic salary versus commission profit ownership debate.
Right. Eker's pretty adamant that trading time for money has a built-in ceiling. There are only so many hours in a day.
Whereas getting paid for results, performance, sales, value created decouples your income from your time, that's where leverage comes in.
He quotes his dad, right? Never get rich working on straight salary.
If you're going to get a job, get paid on percentage. Otherwise, go work for yourself. It's about aligning income with value delivered, not just hours clocked.
Wealth file, #12. Rich people think both. Poor people think either.
Ah, the scarcity versus abundance mindset again.
Yeah. Poor thinking often assumes limitation. I can have this or that, but not both.
Like, I can have a fulfilling job or make good money, or I can have a great vacation or save money.
Whereas rich thinking asks, how can I have both? It looks for creative solutions, win-wins.
It challenges those false dichotomies. Maybe you can find work you love that pays well. Maybe you can negotiate a great deal on that vacation. It's a mindset of possibility.
Wealth file, #13. Rich people focus on their net worth. Poor people focus on their working income.
This is a big one. Income is just one piece. Net worth is the real measure.
Assets minus liabilities. What you own versus what you owe.
Right. Eker says income is important, but it's only one of the 4 factors for building net worth. What are the others?
Savings, keeping more of what you earn. Investments, making your money grow. And simplification, lowering your cost of living so you need less and can save, invest more.
Income, savings, investments, simplification. All 4 drive net worth.
He also mentions Parkinson's law here, right? Expenses rising to meet income.
Exactly. Which is why just earning more often isn't enough. If you don't manage it and focus on net worth, the extra income just gets spent.
Which leads perfectly into wealth file, #14. Rich people manage their money well. Poor people mismanage their money well.
It's not about how much you have, it's about the habit of managing it.
You have to manage the pennies before the pounds or dollars will come.
That's the idea. Develop the habit even when you have little. He advocates for specific systems, like allocating money into different jars or accounts.
Like the financial freedom account, for investments only.
Yes, typically 10% goes there, never to be spent, only invested to build passive income. And crucially, the play account.
Ah, yes, the fun money. Also 10%.
Usually, yeah. To be blown every single month on things that make you feel good, fancy dinner, massage, weekend trip.
Why is that one so important? Seems counterintuitive to building wealth.
It trains your receiving muscle, rewards your inner child, and prevents burnout. It makes managing money feel abundant, not just restrictive. It tells your subconscious that money brings joy.
Okay, interesting balance. Then wealth file, #15. Rich people have their money work hard for them. Poor people work hard for their money,
This is the ultimate goal, isn't it? Financial freedom.
where you don't have to trade your time for money anymore.
Right. It's about building passive income streams. Eker identifies two main types: money working for you, investment stocks, bonds, real estate, etc.,
Okay.
and business working for you. Systems that run without your constant involvement could be rental properties managed by others, automated online businesses, royalties, etc.
So your income isn't solely dependent on you showing up every day.
That's the key. Getting your money and your business to do the heavy lifting.
Wealth file, #16. Rich people act in spite of fear. Poor people let fear stop them.
Few is universal, right? Rich people feel it too.
Absolutely. Eker emphasizes this. Success isn't the absence of fear, it's acting despite it.
They don't let fear paralyze them. They feel the fear and do it anyway.
He has that equation. CZ equals wealth zone. Meaning, if you stay where it's comfortable and safe, your financial life likely won't grow much.
You have to be willing to step outside the comfort zone, do things that feel scary or uncertain.
That's where the growth happens. You have to stretch yourself, train yourself to act even when afraid.
And the last one, wealth file, #17. Rich people are continuous learners. Poor people think they already know.
Ah, the know-it-all versus the learn-it-all.
Yeah. Eker stresses that the most successful people are constantly learning, growing, adapting, especially learning from people who've already achieved what they want.
Every master was once a disaster, he says. Nobody starts out knowing everything. Success is learned.
So staying humble, staying curious, always seeking knowledge. Absolutely. The moment you think you know it all is usually the moment you start declining.
Okay, wow, that's a lot of powerful contrasts.
Yeah.
Before we wrap up, there's that BEDO have sequence he talks about.
Right. Crucial distinction. Rich people understand the order is BEDOHVE.
Meaning.
First, you have to be the kind of person who can attract, create, and handle wealth. Develop the mindset, the character, the habits, the roots.
Cultivate the inner game.
Then you do the things that wealthy people do. Take the actions, implement the strategies.
The outer game stuff.
And as a natural result of who you're being and what you're doing, you have the wealth.
But many people get it backward.
Yeah, poor and middle class thinking often goes, when I have a lot of money, then I'll do the things wealthy people do, and then I'll be happy successful.
Waiting for the money first.
Which rarely works, according to Eker. You have to become the person first. Success is more about who you are becoming, and the good news is that's trainable.
It really comes back to that internal blueprint being the foundation for everything else. So as we wrap up this deep dive, the big takeaway seems to be, well, your financial blueprint is incredibly powerful. It's running the show behind the scenes.
But crucially, it's not fixed. As Eker lays out, you can change it. You now have, hopefully, a clearer picture of some key differences in thinking that he observes.
Yeah, definitely food for thought. We really hope listeners take a moment to, reflect on their own blueprint.
Which of these wealth files, these ways of thinking, really jumped out? Where might you recognize some old programming running?
And maybe consider those action steps linked to each file. Even small shifts in mindset, small changes in habits.
They can add up. They can start to steer the ship in a new direction over time.
So here's a final thought to chew on. Out of all these principles, which one feels like the biggest lever for you right now? The one area where a shift could make the most difference?
And following on from that, what's one small, concrete action you could maybe take today or this week just to start nudging that part of your blueprint? Remember Eker's point. It's not just about accumulating more stuff.
It's about becoming the kind of person who naturally attracts wealth and manages it wisely. Becoming that person who embodies abundance.
Exactly.
We encourage you to keep exploring these ideas. Maybe revisit Eker's book or just mull over the file that resonated most. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.